and welcome back to Something to Add. I am Jeremy Evans, your in-game boss creator, the in-game boss, and of course, I'm not alone. Someone has to come over here and turn the page for me for these ads, and that's Mr. DC. How are you doing, man?
Doing okie dokie. I was getting my, finger to the tongue ready, like, gotta flip that page correctly.
And we have quite a bundle. I know that's probably going to be something you hear all the time, but my goal is to give you, the viewers, the most ridiculous, crazy, most interesting ads that we can find in the interweb of these old 90s ads. I said abs. I need some abs. So ads. So for you people, for anybody that's watching this for the first time, welcome. And our goal is to kind of give you the old school 90s ads, because let me tell you, 90s ads for video games were amazing. They don't make them anymore. The only ads you see is more video-wise. You don't really see them in, magazines. And, the new magazines, if you do look at them, they're not anything special. Here, back in the day, they had to sell it to you. They had to try to blow your mind because it was the only source. They didn't get really a lot of, commercial time on TV unless, you're a big popular game like Mario or something like that. So ads on magazines were the best bet to save some money and do that. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. DC?
Absolutely. Yeah. There's something about these old video gaming ads that they have some charm. They have some spunk that is just lost in the cookie cutter studio driven marketing machine of nowadays.
Yes, absolutely. So with further ado, let's get into this. So this little doohickey of an ad that I found is our very first actual Atari ad. And, Atari is the one that came out before Nintendo. And Atari was such an interesting console at the time because, you had those hard, eight-track cartridges that you put them in there and whatnot and everything. But when I saw this one, I was like, wow, they were really trying to get ahead of the curve. As we see here of say hello to Atari VR. And that just shows me that Atari was just throwing everything at the wall just to see what worked. And I'm not going to lie, I like the way the gear looks compared to what we see now, the Oculus Rift and all these and the PlayStation VR. This one here is so cool looking. I would rock this VR with present graphics. I just like that gear. It looks very cyberpunkish thing. And if you
look, it's vintage kind of.
It is very. And also on the bottom, and goodbye to everything else. So if you look at the very top of this, right below Atari VR, you see there's a little switch here for the on and off, which is that's interesting. You got to flip it from the top on the front of it, not on the side or anything like that. And so I thought that was really cool with the Atari VR. And then you have just this one cord that goes, who knows where? Does this go to the console? I guess, that's what I'm guessing it goes to. It must go to the console, right? Or does it go to controller or?
Well, yeah, you need a controller, but is that basically if you plug it into the console's going to have the controllers plugged into it anyways. But it's I would think, especially for this era, was this the first VR of anything of its time?
It's possible. There is those, maybe in the arcades or specialty places, I think they might have had maybe some VR stuff, but I'm not 100% sure. But maybe this is the first, home console, I guess, for VR. That's the only thing I can think of. But how about we read down here and see what it says? Maybe it'll tell us something here. Introducing the new Atari's 2600 VR headset. Enter a new world of, let me get closer, of gaming glory that could only be brought to you by Atari, the maker of most popular home consoles ever made. No other system lets you enter into a whole new gaming universe, which includes a Pac-Man VR and Combat VR. And let's go a little bit further up down here. With a 20 field of view with a bristling fast 30 hertz refresh rate, you will be surrounded with eye-popping new 3D game world that will blow you away. So what are you waiting for? Get yourself in the game. So
20-degree field of view. Oh my god.
That's not a lot.
And 30 hertz.
That's not a lot, especially when you turn your face, it's not like you're going to be looking fully around, especially when you play a game like Pac-Man. I mean, you're only going a tunnel. I mean, where else are you going to go? You're going forward. And so,
Yeah.
but look at this, man. Look what they were going for. Like, this was basically for Pac-Man. It looks like a dungeon crawler, something you would see in like old school like Dungeons and Dragons, or for Sega like a Phantasy Star, like the first one. You know, you're just going through like the hallways till you see enemy and such like that.
Yeah.
And like, I don't even know what, like, okay, so answer me this. In the game of Pac-Man, unless they turn blue, right, you can't eat them. So I don't even know what you do in this scenario of this picture of like, do you turn around as fast as you can? He's being chased. Like, how do you know? How do you know? I don't know.
That would almost make Pac-Man a horror game, because if you're only seeing one way, it's like, oh my gosh, where do I go? Where do I go? Can I turn this corner? Oh my gosh, you know, that would actually be pretty interesting, I think, doing a Pac-Man VR game.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially like, you know, there's like like 7 of those things, and then like the only thing you'd be happy to see is stuff like fruits and pretzels for points and whatnot. You know, maybe this is a good opportunity for someone out there to look at this and like, let's make a Pac-Man horror game. You just go down halls and just wish for the luck. It's almost like a Five Nights at Freddy-ish kind of scariness or something like that. I don't know.
Yes. Oh my God. I almost feel like this would be scarier because you can't stop. You always have to go
right
in some direction. And it's like, you know, I can't even imagine how you would control this. Like, my mind is definitely blown. Like, my face is that guy's face, except instead of ecstaticness, I'm like, what the frickness?
I agree. And then you have the combat VR, which is like, I don't know. I got a little bit of that, like, maybe a Sega Afterburner, if you remember that game, or Ace Combat. I guess that's what they're going for. And I guess like, maybe down here, I guess maybe from right to left might be like how fast you're going, how many, you know, rockets you might be having, or how many bullets that you have. And then I think below that, I don't know if that's one of those like compass grids where, you know, the cursor moves to know you, like, if you're going north or south or east or west, or that's your life bar. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. Life, or, you know, direction or fuel or something. I don't know. Yeah. Or time. I know a lot of these old Atari games had like a timer of some sort.
Right. The only thing that's interesting that we don't see is the controller itself. It would have been interesting to see the joystick connected to the VR to kind of just see what was going on, because if I remember correctly, you know, the Atari's controller was a joystick with 2 buttons on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that would be interesting how that works in VR, because, you know, how do you turn with the joystick like that? So
I'm trying to even think, like, the only headset, or the earliest headset kind of console or device I used, I think that was the Virtual Game Boy. And I don't think I remember anything before that, at least, you know, that you could bring home and whatnot. Like, I actually tried to look, I tried to look for this a little bit. I can't find anything about this. Did this even come out? Or was this just like one of those?
It could have been one of those, like, they had it and then it could have got canceled. It's a possibility, because if I had to put a price on this, I would say it'd be at least like maybe $100 to $200 at the time for this, you know. But maybe the material's so cheap, maybe it's $50. I don't know. But if anybody does have this, if you have the prototype or this did exist somewhere in your life, please leave a comment down below. We would love to hear that, and maybe you could point us at the right direction of like, where can we just at least see this, like on an eBay or like, you know, a vintage place or something like that. Hell, Goodwill. You see it at Goodwill? Let us know.